every job that you have, even if it's not necessarily directly related to your goal of what you want to do in the future, it's still so important. All the people that you work with, all of the, the skills that you're learning, even if it's just being a bartender, like those personal skills, the hospitality skills, everything is like layers upon layers upon layers to getting you to your next place. So you have to value that and value the process.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Ask the Professional series by Career OK. We're a series that talks to accomplished professionals about their career, how they got into their line of work, and provide career insights into the industries, so that students like myself can follow their footsteps. My name is Hayley Boy, and it's nice to have you all tune in to today's episode. Today, we are joined by Rowan, the head of event strategy at the famous Stone and Chalk Fintech Innovative Hub in Sydney. Now let's get to know Laura and her journey. Hi, Laura. Thanks for coming in today.
Hi, Hayley. Thanks so much for inviting me. I'm really excited to join you and share some insight into the event world.
Me too. So to start off, for those who don't know, what is Stone and Chalk and what is a Fintech Innovative Hub?
Yeah, so Stone and Chalk is a non-profit organisation, and our mission is to nurture, connect and propel those who are solving the world's most pressing business issues. So what that looks like, an innovation hub, we're home to 219 startups, I want to say, across Melbourne, Sydney and Adelaide. And yeah, there's so much innovation happening in our hubs. And not only that, but we also have an impact network where there's corporates, mentors, government and different agencies that are connected into Stone and Chalk, and we all collaborate together to create success.
Interesting. So what does your day-to-day as the head of events at Stone and Chalk look like?
Yeah, so right now I'm actually part-time because I have a little one at home. So my job before has been split. So I'm kind of job sharing with a great colleague of mine, Christina. Originally, I was overseeing, we have an events-based business, and there's so much to do with that. We have event managers and event coordinators that are constantly fueling in inquiries every day. There's event spaces in Adelaide, Melbourne and Sydney. So it's very, very busy. We were booked out 6 months ahead of the year. Everyone who wants to run a tech event would come here and do everything. This is one of our spaces here, actually. Sadly, because of COVID, it's been really quiet. But I guess once that sort of comes back up again, hopefully next year we'll be buzzing like we usually are. My main attention is on event curation. So I am mapping out a year's worth of events, lots of different series. I'm excited. We're doing one, Women in Tech, which is something I'm really passionate about. So we've got a whole series on supporting women and their tech journey. I am helping book speakers. Everything's online at the moment. So there's also the production side behind it. Like today, doing all the technical stuff. And the other aspect is the business aspect where you're doing reporting and, research, making sure that with emerging technology, we are keeping at the forefront and we know what's around the corner. So, a lot of research and I guess the people management side of the business as well, hiring, training, and so it's quite busy, but every day is different and it's really fun and energetic, but you definitely need high energy for it.
Yeah. So considering the busy and kind of fast-paced nature of your job, what do you enjoy working in events and what is so enjoyable about it? Is it the energetic energy that it comes with it?
Yeah, so I think particularly because I work at a startup, I get a lot of autonomy to, I guess, dream up something and then make it happen. So with my specific role, I'm in charge of coming up with the event series and, also with climate change and things like that are really prevalent at the moment, I can gather all of the industry heads in the food industry and find out what they're doing to tackle climate change and just things that, I just get this incredible opportunity to be able to dream it up and then make it happen. And that's really rewarding for me. So that's probably, one of the reasons why I really enjoy my job. And I have an amazing team as well that we work really great together and we just hustle and make it happen. But yeah, you definitely need high energy and you can burn out if you're not careful. So it's really important that you prioritize all the mental, self-care and physical exercise and things like that. But yeah, there's a lot of upsides to doing events.
And you mentioned creating that plan and making it happen. Can you give us some examples or tell us a story of some of the best moments that you've had working in this industry?
Yeah. So I guess one of the best moments I had would have been, I came in as an event coordinator and I was working there I was doing a talk for about a year, and then I moved up to a management position. And then I was probably doing that for a year, and then my boss, she suddenly left. So she was running the department, and it was either I step up to the plate and I become the head of and take on all the management stuff that I'd never done before, to be honest, or I, step back, keep doing what I'm doing, and they hire somebody else. But I just thought, look, I'm ready, I can do it. And one of the things is I worked really hard, and I guess stepping up to the plate, over the year, I was able to put in place, I completely restructured the way we did everything, because I was so hands-on in, doing all of the logistics beforehand. I knew what worked and what wasn't working, so I could actually then, use my platform to make changes. And we changed all of the event pricing. We did a really thorough, space analysis, pricing analysis, competitor analysis, whatever you call it. And yeah, I guess just being able to back yourself and believe it. And I had to redo all the budgeting and for the next year. And by I guess looking back after my first year as head of events and achieving, we actually doubled our revenue for that year. It was just really satisfying to think, like, at the time I didn't know whether I could do it, but if you just back yourself and you work really, really hard, you actually can. And it's a team effort. You have to lean in on people's skills, and I definitely leaned in on my team. And I think the coordinators and managers and even the interns, I was like, look, what are you good at? Let's use that, and let's actually, build an amazing department, and let's actually take this events department to the next level. So it was really, really amazing experience to I guess go from an event manager to head of, and to actually do really well, and see how hard work and planning and tears and everything pays off. So yeah.
That's really inspiring. Yeah. But just to take a step back a little bit, was the event coordinator position your first role in working in the events industry? And was it hard or difficult getting that job?
Yeah, so it was my first full-time role in events. So my background was actually a music degree. So I started off as a singer doing a popular music degree at JMC. But we did tour management subjects, and I loved them. So I think that's where the spark for events was ignited. And yeah, I remember just putting so much effort and detail into that project that we had to run. And then I was also, straight after that, I did a lot of interning and stage managing, volunteer. And then I did a lot of interning as a creative administration. So pretty much we ran weekly events where I had to style everything, like music events, to help with band setup. But everything was in the creative, like music industry sort of stream. So coming into the tech world was interesting. My first job out of uni was actually like a paid job. So I did a lot of internships and a lot of volunteer work. But my first paid job was at a tech company, and I was an EA. So I guess events has a lot of transferable skills. If you are really good at admin and you're super organized, personable, talk to anybody, if you can, I guess, there's so many elements, but I had a lot of transferable skills that was able to get me to my job. The reason why I say I was at a tech company was the general manager there, he left, he was my boss, and he referred me to Stone and Chalk. So the one lesson I learned was if I had just rocked up with my resume, maybe I wouldn't have been considered. But the fact is, every job that you have, even if it's not necessarily directly related to your goal of what you want to do in the future, it's still so important. All the people that you work with, all of the, I guess, the skills that you're learning, even if it's just being a bartender, like those personal skills, the hospitality skills, everything is like layers upon layers upon layers to getting you to your next place. So you have to value that and value the process. And yeah, I guess I was lucky because I really poured everything into my EA role, and my boss, he gave me a raving recommendation. And because of my creative skills and being able to do styling and things like that, I actually had applied for the EA role at Stone and Chalk, and then they had 2 positions available. And after the CEO had met me, he was like, actually, I think you'd be better for the events role. And so that's kind of how it started.
Wow. It's so interesting. It went from like your whole journey just switched up into 2 minutes, but there's so much experience that you learned throughout. And with the volunteer and internship, what were the skills that you gained that you felt really applied to your job today? Was it the hospitality, the personality that came with it?
Definitely hospitality skills. That's really prevalent in events. Even if you're just wanting to do event production, you need to understand end to end, like what is happening back of house, how much catering you need. It's just so important, because as a manager now, I'm pretty hands off in terms of ordering the catering and things like that. But at the same time, I'm responsible. So you have to know what is happening in the background, and you have to have a plan B and a plan C if something goes wrong. So like I'm saying, everything that I did with my volunteer, the stage managing was great. Learning, even about lighting, and learning about positioning things on stage, and how to roll up cables, like random things. It just all comes in handy when you're working in the events business. And also, I think the main thing was, if you want to be in this industry, it doesn't matter who you are, you have to get your hands dirty. And that work ethic, you can find that in any position that you do, but I don't care what industry you have to. I think any industry that you do, you have to, whether you're a director or whether you're an intern, you got to get your hands dirty. You've got to really pour everything in, because those people are the ones that make it and get really far in life, I believe.
Definitely. And you've had to work in a few technical areas of events as well, like gathering data and building systems and processes. Did you learn this in your studies as well, or was it largely on the job learning?
It was actually on the job learning. So, like I was saying, I was working at a tech company. That was my first job before I went into Stone and Chalk.
Yeah.
And I was an EA, but then halfway through, I think I was there for maybe a year and a half, I can't remember exactly, but halfway through my first year there, they had a complete restructure of the company, and the general manager had left. And so I actually was then retrained as a sales support specialist. And so what that was we had a CRM, so the database for the company. I pretty much had to facilitate all of supporting all of the sales team. So there was so much. I was flown to the US, and I was trained by a team over there to really learn the technical side of how the workflow happens, how to, adjust and create the most efficient workflow for our sales team back in Australia. So what happened was, when I ended up going from Rebel Systems, which was my old company, to Stone and Chalk, Stone and Chalk didn't have any database. They literally were working off spreadsheets on Excel, and they just paid for this system, but no one knew how to use it. So what I had to do was pretty much all the skills I learned in my previous job. I had to try and then build out at Stone and Chalk and create systems that worked. So yeah, I guess it was all on the job. I didn't do it at uni, but yeah, a lot of work you do learn in the role. Especially if you get a great manager who will train you. I think any good company offers significant training. So as long as you're willing to put yourself out there and learn and absorb everything, you'll be okay. Like, nobody knows everything before they start their role. That's the whole point of, getting a job and learning.
And let's talk a bit about getting a job, I guess, post-COVID. How has COVID affected your work in 2020?
Yeah, it's hugely affected our work. I was on maternity leave up until July, so I had missed the bulk of the lockdown, which for me was probably a good thing, I guess. But I know it's impacted our industry terribly. It's been really sad to see people lose jobs, and it's a really humbling thing to still have a job, to be honest. We're very lucky, that COVID has, the government set up different payment schemes for people like us to be able to remain in work when things like our events-based businesses shut down. So I guess whether there's work for people, I do believe so, but I think that you need to upskill in the tech side of things. So it's really, really important, especially even if you want to do events casual work. We're now looking for people who can do production and who can do video editing, who can be able to organise these Zoom calls. That's really, really valuable. And on top of that, all the administration and people skills, hard worker. But yeah, like it's changed now in the fact that you need to know the technical skills, but also other areas, the social distancing in place. All of our seating plans have changed now. The amount of people you can have at events has changed. The way you can run events has changed. So we haven't started doing in-person events yet, but I think next year, if everything, touch wood, goes to plan, we will start to run them in person in February. So we'll see all the learnings and lessons from that. But there definitely is opportunity for people. It's just being open to learning new skills.
And event seems like a fast-paced career, like I previously mentioned. How do you maintain the work-life balance?
Yeah, I mean, it can be hard at times, and especially before I was in my role now, because I'm part-time, it's a bit easier. But when I was full-time, you just have to prioritize your mental and your physical health. There's so many event managers out there who are shells of humans because they just live in that flight and fight mode for so long. And a lot of corporates do as well. Like, startup world is busy and it's fast paced. And but yeah, I guess having boundaries from the beginning. If you're starting a new job, if there's a netball team that you're part of, don't sacrifice training with them on a Tuesday night because something at work comes up. Like, from the very beginning, if you put little boundaries in place, like, look, no, this is really important. Can that one night I just can't, have an event on, or like putting little things in place that give you sanity, even if it's doing a meditation or prioritizing a walk outside or having lunch in the sun. Those things make a big difference, because events is, like you said, it's very busy. You're multitasking multiple projects at one time. There's a lot of weight on your shoulders and responsibility. So yeah, it's just very important to do those little things.
And how would one get a start in events nowadays, considering like the post-COVID world as well?
Yeah, great question. I think, well, obviously there's, if you've just come out of an events degree, I would say there are roles. I have seen a few roles going around, but definitely the online space is a big one. So just if there's short courses that you can do if you haven't already learnt about the virtual, like running events virtually, I think I would highly recommend either like a General Assembly or one of those. I don't know if they're doing it, but look at short courses that you can do to upskill yourself in that area. But it's also getting your foot in the door. A lot of people that have joined my team, they actually came on board as an event casual. And so, right now there's not much casual work, but it will pick up again, I believe. Like, once it does, it's a tricky one because there's so many people out of work right now and it's such a hard thing. But I think it's just being consistent, putting yourself out there, being a really hard worker, and making your resume also a bit different. When I'm hiring, I'm looking through so many resumes. So if you can make your resume a bit more jazzed up, or I don't know, use Canva, like try and make it stand out a little bit. I think that might hopefully give you a bit of a step forward.
Thank you. And I know that you've previously touched on this briefly. What are the most important characteristics and traits that you would expect from someone who is junior or start out as like an events casual?
Yeah. So I wrote it down because there's so many things, but I guess being a hard worker, staying humble. One thing I would say is Okay, so if you started a new job, I would recommend staying away from office gossip. That's like one that you probably won't hear very often. But if you get involved in anything toxic at work, it'll bring you down and it'll stop you from so many opportunities. So, keep yourself in a positive state of mind. But yeah, things like coming with a solution, not a problem. If I had an intern or event coordinator that came to me and was like, look, this is broken, but I've been doing some research and this is how I think I could fix it. It's so much better. I'd be like, this person is awesome. Than if they just came and was like, oh, I don't know how to do this. How do I do that? Just taking that first initial step to learn and see if you can, whether it's reading the manual or, just being proactive as a person. But yeah, another thing is getting your hands dirty. If you're not willing to pick up plates after an event or take the bins out or do the dishes, putting platters together, serving people. Like events is all about servanthood and serving people and being okay with that. Doesn't matter, like even in my role now, I still will walk around at the end of an event and pick up plates and make sure that things look nice and clean. Like it's really important, and that's a massive quality that you have to have and be okay with if you want to pursue a career there. I guess the only other thing is having a creative eye and an eye for detail. So if you go into a room and you notice something's off, fix it. Like making sure that everything looks perfect. Or just being able to put some plants and furniture together and make things look stylish. I guess it depends on what industry you're in, but like those little things will bring you a long way.
Thanks so much for that honest answer.
Yeah.
So you must be an expert at networking now. Let's seeing it all the time in your role. Is networking important for someone working in events? And what are some tips that you can give for those looking to build their network?
Yeah, I guess one tip is simple, is just go, like put yourself out of your comfort zone and just show up. Once you're there, it's easier than you think it would be. Find someone that, if you can just find one person or two people in the room that you could connect with and have a conversation with, they're probably feeling as equally nervous and awkward. So don't feel like you're the only one. But yeah, I guess the main thing I've learned is just, attend events, go try and get out there and meet people, because in that you also not only have a great time and have a good experience, but you also could potentially meet speakers for your future events. You could get ideas of what other people are doing. You could be offered new venues or meet new caterers that could, facilitate the next event. I've learned so much from watching what other people are doing, and I get really inspired, and it just shakes you out of your comfort zone, because sometimes you just do the same thing over and over again. But yeah, just go. Even if you feel scared, bring a friend if you have to, but just go and just try and talk to a couple of people. I guess one networking thing is, rather than going and trying to get something out of somebody, maybe go and see what you can give others as well. Maybe you can offer something or find out what they need and what they're struggling with. People don't always, it's better to be a good listener than just to talk about yourself the whole time.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. What are some advice also that you can give those who freshly graduated from university and wants to embark on their own startup journey?
Yeah, so if you're an entrepreneur and you've just started and maybe you have, I guess it depends if you've got a product or if you, just say you've got a product and you're really excited about launching something. I was mentioning before, there are accelerator programs out there that you could potentially join. So maybe you don't have funds to be able to, produce 100 products, but if you join an accelerator, we're not an accelerator, so no talk, so I'm not advertising what we do at all. But I know plenty of great ones, and they're existing in Sydney and all over Australia, but they take a bit of equity from your business, but they give you all the skills you need, mentorship. Another thing I would suggest is, if you're a small business, we're an innovation hub. There's so many places like us where you can come and you can join, and just putting yourself in a community of other startups is going to put you forward so much further than trying to be a small business owner or be a startup owner on your own. You need people to bounce ideas off, to connect you with the right people, mentors that can guide you. investors. Stone and Chalk, we have investor programs, we have mentorship programs. There's a lot of community gatherings where you can meet other people. Even just, you might be a marketing person in a startup, but you can meet another marketing person and you can brainstorm or ideas of what they're doing. So yeah, that's my role, is just join a community, whether it's a co-working space, an innovation hub, or if you really need support to build your business, join an accelerator program. But yeah, that's probably the three things.
I think it really links back to what you said about networking as well and the importance of that. Now let's talk about women in leadership. I know that you spoke of Women in Tech, which is a program that you're very excited about. Do you want to give us some insights into that?
Yeah, so it's called Empowered to Lead. We'll be launching February actually, and the first event I'm running is Thriving in a Male-Dominated Industry. So I haven't locked in the speakers yet, but we're planning to run a panel where we get a ton of women, maybe women in STEM. I've even got a rocket scientist in our network. I might see if I can get her. She's amazing in Adelaide. There's engineers. There's so many amazing roles that women are doing, and I feel like people don't really know about it. So the whole point of the event is kind of like an Ask Me Anything. How did you get where you are? And just to inspire other women to pursue careers like that, because yeah, there's so many opportunities out there, and I don't think it's right to box women into certain roles and positions just because of their gender. All power to women. So that's it really.
I think that sounds perfect. I will definitely tune into that.
Yeah.
For our listeners as well, make sure that you tune in February, and we will also link up any information that we've got and post it on our group as well.
Perfect, thank you.
Not only do you work in events, but I know that you are also a female leader. How important is it for corporations to have women in leadership?
I think it's really important. I mean, women are half the population, so it makes sense that that we have a platform as well. And I think women supporting women, if we're not represented, then how can we build a fair industry of quality? And even things, I guess women have bringing a fresh insight. And I 100% agree that it's really important that they are in leadership.
And what would you say are some of the barriers or challenges for female leaders out there in the workforce, and what would you think would overcome them?
Yeah, well, one thing that I have learnt, I guess, is that there's a few different areas. So if it's event related, when you are working with suppliers, this is just personal, but there are lots of suppliers that are in, for instance, if I was to put on an event for the Melbourne Cup and you have all these different vendors that are generators and toilets and all these, all these different, the marquees, they're all male dominated, like the more male run companies. And if you don't know what you're talking about, then it's really hard to be able to get a good deal and get what you need. And also understand if something breaks, you won't know how it works. So as a woman, I feel like it's even more important to be taken seriously and to understand and educate yourself. Education is so, so important for any industry that you work in. If you want to, women sometimes don't get taken seriously, especially if you're younger. So it's really important that you go that extra mile to know how things work, whether it's how many power points are on a generator or, the requirements that you need, if it's more the technical requirements that you need when you're setting up an event. Those things will bring you forward. And for me, also with the role I'm in now, because I've helped my sister who runs things like Run Australia, which is a national, for Cotton On, they do a national fun run every year. But I didn't mention that before, but with my current job, now I need to, with emerging technology, that also is a male-dominated industry. And so I have to be able to do all the research I need to be able to walk the walk and walk the talk. And so, I just say education, never stop learning. Doesn't matter how long you've been in the job for, keep doing short courses, keep staying up on top of things, because that will push you forward and help you to be taken seriously and to get the most out of your career.
Definitely. And just to summarize that, I guess going through that extra mile is an important skill to develop to become a good leader overall as well, right?
Yeah, and I think another thing is just women supporting women. Like, we are not each other's competitors. Sometimes if you're in a room full of men in a board meeting and there's one other girl, like, some women see you as a competitor, and so that shouldn't be the case. Like, there's space for everybody, and you just have to be in your own lane and to swim in your own lane, and support other people, knowledge sharing and mentoring and building people up so that they can achieve what they're meant to achieve. Yeah, I think more women hopefully should just support other women, rather than compete against each other. That's probably another thing that's really important if you're a woman out there to, there's enough space for everybody to succeed.
I completely agree. So, in terms of mentorship, do you think having a mentor for your career is important, and why?
I 100% agree. Having a mentor is important. I've had several different unofficial mentors over my career, especially since being a student at Chalk. I guess different times in my life when I had to, negotiate my salary, I had a great mentor to teach me different skills of how to say what to say and how to be assertive. I've had another mentor that has walked me through when I became the head of events, just even connecting me with speakers and the right people, and being an ear to listen when I needed advice. Everybody, you can't know everything, and yeah, I think it's important that you surround yourself with intelligent people who are going to be positive and push you forward. So yeah, if you can get a mentor, 100% go and do it, especially if they are in your industry, because that is going to push you so much further. And there's plenty of people who are so approachable, you wouldn't realise they will give you their time. So don't be afraid. If you know somebody, just tap them on the shoulder and ask them. I'm sure they'll be flattered to do it.
Okay. And finally, our last question. What would you tell your 20-year-old self knowing what you know now?
Yeah, I think I'd probably tell myself to just relax. I think I was so worried that I didn't know what I wanted to be, and like as you saw, my journey was, I had so many, did so many different things. It wasn't a linear path to getting where I am, and I think I would have just told myself, even if you're bartending and you're not in the job that you want, just put 100% into everything you do. Be kind to everybody, because that is underrated. Like, the people that you meet in your life, you never know who's going to offer you the next thing or help you in the next way. So just be a giver in your life, and things will come back, and you'll, the more that you give, the more that you will receive. That's probably the main thing. Work hard, stay humble. Kindness is everything. Being polite, being humble, doesn't matter what you achieve. If you can, it's just, you see a lot of people that climb up in the career and then like climb up high in the career ladder, and they don't, they forget that, they were that junior intern back 20 years ago or whatever it is. So I don't know, I just think it's really important that, you remember who you were before you got to that high place. So anyway, that's sort of, I just remind myself to stay kind and to relax, and it's all going to be okay, and go on the journey.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I really resonated with what you just said as well. Also, thank you to everyone who's listening in. Remember to join our group so that you can speak to accomplished professionals who can answer any questions that you might have in your industry. The link is above, and see you next time. Thank you again, Laura.
See you. Thank you so much.